Hey guys, so this is what I was thinking in terms of the training. Obviously, I would start here once you open up the Audacity application. You're shown this screen, just kind of an empty slate for you to start working with audio files. Um, you can import them if you already have something that you want to work with, and then obviously these buttons allow you to record. Obviously, that's the button that does all the recording. Once you click that, you speak into your microphone and for the duration as much as you decide, and once you're done you hit the stop button. So these buttons are pretty self-explanatory. Obviously pause, play, stop, uh, go to the start of the file and then go to the end of the file, and then record, right? These are just volume settings for the speaker and the microphone. This area here has to do with the levels, playback level and recording level. And so what they say in terms of recording is that you should try to stay within this range here, -24 to 12, -12. If those bars, when you're speaking into the microphone, and you can see that when you're recording, if they're there, then you're at a good level in terms of it picking up your voice or whatever else you're recording. Um, so then you have your cut, copy and paste. You have your trim audio button, which we'll see in action in a little bit, and your silence audio, which I'll also explain. Obviously, undo and redo. This is a sync feature that is probably beyond the scope. Once um, people get more involved with learning this, they can use that and kind of helps them organize a group of recordings. Here we have zoom in and zoom out, obviously. Um, this is a handy one. If you have a lot of things that you are kind of going beyond the screen, and you'll see as you zoom in and out, the screen adjusts. But if you want to see everything at a glance, then you use these buttons to fit your selection in the space that you have there. This is the playback speed button, and then you control that. It plays back at the exact level that you recorded, and if you wanted to go faster, if you're working with a lot of content, you would use this to speed it up if you don't want to have to wait for the cursor to get to what you want to hear in terms of that. These are just drop down settings for the equipment that you're using to make the recording. And then I would go into talking about these edit buttons, but first we'll go ahead and make the class do a recording so we have something to work with. So for the recording, I thought we would start off kind of easy. It's pretty simple just to start recording. Obviously, just play the record button and say your couple of lines. And what I was thinking is we could use this little poem, short and sweet kind of thing, to give them something to work with. I'm going to roll my Word doc so you can see what that is. So this would be the first activity. So we'll give them this for everyone to read and record. I've already done it, so I will just import the audio. And I figured we'll have them record it, and then I'll start talking about how to edit that stuff. So for time's sake, I'll just go ahead and import the audio file, right? And I'm going to go with the raw audio file, which is there a wave. So I'll play it for you so you can hear what it sounds like. When witches go riding and black cats are seen, the moon laughs and whispers, 'tis near Halloween. So I would indicate that for everybody using this tool, that they leave some space, and I think they suggest at least 2 seconds before you start actually talking. And what that does, and I did it in my office on purpose because I have a fan going on here and stuff, so you'll notice that there's a lot of background noise. So then I would start to get into selecting this space here. Obviously it's picking up just the background information, and I would show them at this point how to go through the noise removal process. So as you saw here, I selected around 2 seconds. I can go as far as 3 because it's the same stuff there. And then I'll choose Effect, and I will select Noise Removal. And initially what you have to do is click this Get Noise profile. So what it's doing is it's trying to identify the background noise. So by pushing that button, it selects this information here. And then so you have two options. I mean, this is kind of the default setting, which is the selection tool, which kind of gives you that, looks like a capital I. If you're just holding your left mouse, you can click and drag to select everything. But it has a lot of the word processing features too. So if I wanted to control A, as everybody knows, that's a select all feature. And so the first part of that noise removal is identifying the profile, is what it was. And then so after I've selected the entire track, I go back to that noise removal. And the good thing about a lot of these settings is that you can preview it. So if you're trying something, especially with effects, it gives you the opportunity to preview what it's going to sound like. So I'll do that. When witches go riding and black cats are seen. So it's just a preview. It cuts off some of my stuff, but I like that. I mean, you see that you hear the difference. In other words, so I'll say OK. And then now that I've used that space, I don't need these 3 seconds, and I can even go up to here. I mean, you can see the wave level of where sound starts to happen. So again, I'm using the selection tool to swipe to my left to pick up all of that stuff, and I'm just hitting my delete key to get rid of that stuff. You see here as well on the end of the file, I can do the same thing. That gets rid of the dead space, and then we're going to skip to the start. So you see how I can go to the end of the file, go to the start of the file, and then if I play it, when witches go riding and black cats are seen, the moon laughs and whispers, 'tis near Halloween. So after that, after I show them that process, I was going to start to talk about some of the effects. I mean, there's a lot of things to choose from, but I think I'm just going to kind of talk about a couple of things that I think would be of value in terms of people doing a podcast or something. And since we're kind of doing a Halloween theme, I use that poem. So I'm going to talk about, most people might think that an echo would be good, but that actually just repeats your voice. Like if you were in the mountains and you hit that echo, and it can be slightly annoying. But what I'm looking for is reverb, right? And so there's all these settings that you can adjust. I'll go with the default settings that seem to work okay. And then again, as with most of the selections, you have when witches go riding and black cats are seen, the moon laughs and whispers, 'tis near Halloween. Alright, so I'm happy with that. I mean, that has kind of that ghostly quality that we're looking for. So I'll say okay to that. And then at that point, we can have people play it back and see if they like it and stuff like that. The other thing I was going to do is mention some other edits that you can do with these buttons, but I was going to also include for them. So I'm putting together a folder of audio files that they can actually work with. They'll record their voice, but then have some background and ambient noises and stuff like that to make it more spooky or whatever. So I'm going to import an audio file, and so this is the activity 1 information, and so we'll give them these 3 to choose from, and it's just background music. I'll choose this first one, and then we'll talk about putting this together slowly. So if I just play it offhand, when witches go riding and black cats are seen, the moon laughs and whispers, 'tis near Halloween. So we see that there's kind of a bad mix here. You're getting maybe a little bit of this music here. So I'll go into muting a selection so you can just concentrate on this. So I'm just going to start here. I could put my cursor at any point and start playing from wherever I put my cursor. For most audio files, I see that the spacebar is kind of the stop and start, but on this program it's the letter P for play and pause, I guess. So I'm doing that to start. Actually, that didn't work. So spacebar again. Yeah, so spacebar to begin the audio, and then P pauses it once you go on. So you can hit P thereafter to kind of stop at different places. So I'll listen to this part just to kind of get a feel for what the background music is. So at this point, I was going to introduce this selection here. This is the envelope tool. So and see, I made the mistake here that I'm kind of happy I did, because I can show the class what not to do. You'll see that it's prevented me from actually using the tool, and that's because I simply paused it, the audio track, and I should stop it. Once you stop it, then you're able to work with this. So the envelope tool allows you to manipulate the audio levels. So I'm going to start here. Maybe I'll start here just to kind of give you a sense. I'm using my starting point, and then maybe I'll go down here. And then once I have 2 points to choose from, you can see what happens is you can manipulate, kind of do a fade effect. But the difference here is that it doesn't cut out the music altogether. So it just lowers it. So it's good for voiceover stuff because you'll have the background music, and then I could then using the select tool, I could probably mention that now, I can bring over the audio portion, right? And then we can, so we'll probably have some class time for them to manipulate this as they want. I'm going to go ahead and get rid of this because this doesn't seem like, this part right here doesn't seem too valuable. So now obviously I cut that front part out, so I'm going to go ahead and adjust my recording, and let's just see what that looks like. Actually sounds like, right? Sorry, messed up. I had that on mute. So it's good that I'm doing this. I'm learning as I go along here. Okay, so obviously I'll try it again. When witches go riding and black cats are seen, the moon laughs and whispers, 'tis near Halloween. So again, they can, we'll just have them manipulate it the way they want, and then I don't know if we want to do whoever does it first, and plays it, gets something. I don't know if we're going to do candy or not, but that's probably the first part of this activity, one that we can use. Hey guys, so for this next part, I was just going to kind of run through. I mean, there's so many effects that you can use. I was just going to concentrate on the change pitch. Because I think there's value there in terms of adjusting your voice to make it sound more entertaining if you're telling a story or something. And then along with that, although we touched slightly on reverb and echo, I could probably do something to demo that as well. But I want to concentrate on these two, fade in and fade out, because I think that's valuable if you're doing a podcast or something like that. And I'll do an exercise related to that. But so right now I'm going to concentrate on the change pitch. So at that point we'll have them record. I already have something in here just to save time. So I'll play that for you. And it's just, this was the sample of the low range. So I had a couple things here for low range examples. So we could change the pitch and go lower. So obviously I'm trying to find stuff that would make sense coming from a low voice. So these are the three options. And you guys can pick whatever you want if you want to do something else. But so we'll give them three options. They can decide what to record. So we'll have them do that as well. I have that already recorded here. Luke, I am your father. So there's my weasel voice. So now I can either Control A or do the selection tool. I could mention that again. But I think they've also said if you just click anywhere on this part, it'll highlight that anyway too. So I'll bring that up. And then the effect again is change pitch. And here it's at 20%. So I've messed around with that before, and 20% seems to be okay for my voice. So this is what I like about it, is that you can preview it, so you can make these adjustments. So if I say I only wanted to go 5% and I preview it. Luke, I am your father. So that still is too close to my real range, so I'm going to go with 20 because that seems to be more of the James Earl Jones effect. So preview it. Luke, I am your father. Alright, not the best actor, but proves my point. So I'll hit OK, and then if I want to play it again just to show them, I can do that. Luke, I am your father. And then we could do another example. So we have one low range and one high range, and I've already recorded that here, so I'll mute this one and play this one for you just to preview my voice or normal. Oh, I have it in mute, so sorry about that, but I'll probably make that same mistake, but I can go over that. So alright, so there's that. I'll play it. I'm trying to be nice, but it's not working. So the list of the high range stuff is, I just took this from like Kids Say the Weirdest Things or whatever. And then this last one is obviously Wizard of Oz. I was trying to think of what a high voice would sound like. So alright, so we can talk about options if you guys aren't into that, but so again, I could just click here to highlight this, or do the Control A thing, or do the manual. I'll go over that again just to reinforce that. And then again, change pitch, but this time, so we're going to go on the higher range. So what if I do 25%?
I'm trying to be nice, but it's not working.
So I think I'm probably at the 10-year-old level. Maybe I'll go 36.
I'm trying to be nice, but it's not working.
That might work. So again, just to kind of point out what you can do with that change pitch effect.